Hey guys, today I wanted to film mid-year update within my 2020 Hobonichi Cousin. I'm a little late on a Q2 update, but I thought I would show you how I ended up using my cousin for the second quarter of the year and how I've been using it for the last couple months going forward a little bit into Q3. So this will be my second full year in a Hobonichi Cousin, and I absolutely love this planner. It is primarily my archive if you are new to my channel, which means I like to play around with other planners throughout the year, but this is the one thing that I use consistently throughout the year. It is my planner, my journal, and sort of my reference, all that information in one compact place. And this is the only notebook that I will keep at the end of the year. So I don't keep any of my ring planning inserts or anything like that. This is the only one that I will hang on to. So for the second quarter of the year, I used this future log spread the same way. I use it as an index, and I index what I write on my daily pages, just using the date. And then from there, I color code using Mildliners so that I can find information a little bit faster. So for example, anything in yellow is an ongoing list that I want to go back and check things off, such as like a book list that I want to read or supplies for a project that I'm currently working on. Up top, I still kept track of about 3 things each month. I did kind of one like personal beauty or like fashion item that I've been doing for the month, one top song in the month, and then one marriage related like memory for the month. So I will have a nice collection of 12 of our favorite marriage moments from the year. At the bottom down here, I had planned on printing out a photo for the highlight of the month, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to get to that. So what I've decided to do instead is at the end of the month, I'm going to kind of backfill in those important events or like those more adulting tasks that happen throughout the month. So I will have a better reference place to find when specific events like that happen, such as when our lease renewed, when I got an oil change last, when the car insurance is due, some of those bigger items. So I will be better prepared looking at next year. So I've yet to go back and do that for the last few months, but that's how I will be using this space going forward. And you'll see that we're already into August, and I have filled out July more or less the same way as I did on the previous page, and I'm trying to kind of index as I go. I don't worry about indexing this every day. I typically will fill this out towards the end of the month or just whenever I have a spare few minutes to go in and find it, because when I'm within the current month, I have a pretty good muscle memory as to what ended up on each daily spread since I am in this planner daily. So flipping to the monthly spreads, I use this purely as a memory keeping spread for the second quarter of the year. I do keep my habit tracker on the left-hand side of the page, and then I do a sticker a day with like a highlight of my day. I did use some kits in Q2. Both of these are from Virgo and Paper. I will link her shop down below. I love how they turned out. They're super colorful, and these are some of my favorite spreads to look back on in June the same way. I just pulled in some washi tape from the Coffee Monsters Co. instead. In July, I fell off the tracker a little bit because the unthinkable happened and I ran out of refills for my Uni Jetstream, and I just didn't bother going back in and filling it out. So not a big deal. I'm not too worried about it. For August, however, I am really focusing on making this page feel more functional for me. So I'm writing a little bit smaller. I'm still doing my highlight of the day every day, as you can see, still habit tracking on the left-hand side of the page, but I've brought in 3 additional habit trackers that are related to my goals in the blank squares where I don't have a date. And typically, you'd fill this in with a sticker or something if you're using a kit. So I thought I'd make use of that space. And then you'll see I've done some pre-planning in here. I've put in all of our paydays, when my library books are due, big work events, doctor's appointments, things like that, because I want this page to be an easier, quick reference about what happened in the month and being able to find some of those more important dates, like when did I go to the dentist last, as I'm flipping through my monthlies, if I'm trying to remember something when I'm referring to this planner next year. So far, I'm really liking this, and I've opted to use the Tombow Mono Drawing Pen in 0.1 on the monthly, so I don't have to worry so much about my pencil board, and I will link those pens down below for you as well. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of flip through the weekly spreads so you guys can see them, but not much has really changed with how I use my weeklies. I did experiments with some more kits this quarter. This one was from Bunny Plans, and then I've got one here from Virgo and Paper as well. And I had a lot of fun using kits that were specifically sized for the Hobonichi Cousin. I hadn't used those before, and I do have several plan with me's from this quarter using those kits. I also bounced around between using my Tombow mono drawing pen, which is the felt tip pen in 0.1, and my Uni Jetstream in 0.5, just depending on what I was feeling. Really, the only reason I will go to the Tombow mono drawing pen is if I'm just not feeling using a pencil board, because I'm not the kind of person that likes feeling the ridges on the back side of the paper like some people do. So it's just personal preference, but both of them I find I can highlight after I write, but the Tombow mono drawing pen definitely takes a little bit of drawing time. But I have used this the same way. I've been tracking more or less the same 4 or 5 things in my sidebar from week to week. I do pre-plan my weekly spreads on like the Friday or Saturday the week before, and then I fill this in day by day, check things off at the end of the day, put in memories and things that I typically record on my daily pages within my Ring planner, and kind of get everything in here on a daily basis. So love the vertical spreads. I put events at the specific times that they're happening. Usually I'll highlight them out or I'll use a bolder pen, but otherwise I just fill in my tasks top to bottom and check them off as I go. Didn't do anything more special than that. I use a variety of character stickers. I will try and link the main shops that I use down below in case you are curious. But if you're curious where a specific sticker is from, kind of let me know, I guess in the comments, and I'll try and figure out which one they were. But I use the same shops more or less all the time. So if you've seen any of my plan with me's, I'm pretty good about calling out which sticker I am laying down when, if you are curious. So flipping into August, I'm really not planning on making any changes. This is the current week that I'm in. You can see where I pre-planned here for the weekend and how full my days get by the time I am done filling in all the little things from that day. And I really love seeing the weeks progress, but no real change on how I'm planning on using my weekly spreads for the remainder of the year. Okay, so flipping back to my daily pages, I use them sort of as a hybrid between reference information that I typically would end up indexing when I did like a bullet journal versus a personal journal diary as well. So at the beginning of each month, you get this blank spread, and I have kind of jumped around on what I wanted to use these for in 2020. In April, I did like a schedule events and then a running to-do list for the month. April was when the pandemic really hit my area, so everything pretty much got canceled. Love how this looks, but I found I wasn't really looking at it all that much. But again, nothing really happened in the month of April. In my dailies, I will do a to-do list if I feel like I need something. I will typically write something a little bit like more decoratively that I'm going to index on my daily pages, and then I will journal about whatever I feel like journaling about, using different pens kind of here throughout the spread. Typically I use a felt tip or a bolder marker for whatever I am indexing, and I will journal using my Uni Jetstream in 0.5 because I like to write pretty quick, and I find this is the least smeary pen, if that's a word, when it comes to my journaling. But I didn't do anything drastically different this quarter with my daily pages, other than I found I had significantly less things that I needed to index. So a lot of this feels more memory keeping, but I also think that's going to be a lot of fun to look back on next year. Animal Crossing was really huge for me this quarter, so I had lots of notes as I was learning how to do things. I would just kind of write them in as like my big thing of the day. There's a lot of just journaling as well, writing about my current skincare routine, documenting, going on walks, meals we had in the pantry, our quarantine routine, since both my husband and I are currently working from home, and just a lot of stuff like that kind of ended up in this planner. So a lot more like memory keeping things than true information I felt like I'm going to need to reference again next year, but there is still plenty of that in here as well. In May, I tried to do the same thing. You'll see I didn't even put my task list in here, just wasn't feeling it. Productivity wise, I typically stick with my ring planner for like the main to-dos when I need to get done in a month, and kind of on that sort of, you know, side of things. Something I did here that I thought was kind of interesting, my sister had written me like a thank you card for part of her wedding, and I had it taped in here, but it got so bulky, so I just copied it and printed it onto vellum, and now it is super thin, but I still have her personal handwriting, so I thought that was an easy way to kind of add stuff in but still keep it relatively thin. And my handwriting doesn't look great on all these daily pages. I do this as fast or as slow as I want to. If I want to take my time, I definitely do. I find photos of things I like on Pinterest, download them, just throw them in a Word document, print them on a sticker paper, and then I just cut them out by hand when you see the photos like this. I also love doing that in my daily pages because it gives a little bit more personality to my pages, and it's also a good record of like things that I was into, because typically I am printing out like books I'm into, fan art from animes that I really like, things like that I will pull in throughout the month as well. So it's a different way of kind of seeing the things or documenting my year in a different way, I think is what I'm really trying to say here. This is from a wine bottle that we had, and the sticker does not like to lay flat, but got through a couple pages with the pencil board, and now I don't notice it in my planner at all, but it's in there. So it's fun to kind of collect any of those little mementos that I get throughout the year, and I will just kind of add them to my planner. More letters from people that I have taped in on relatively thin paper, and definitely print photos. Most of them will be blurred out, but I just have a Polaroid zip in case you're curious. I don't think that the print quality is like anything to write home about, but they do work really well, and it's on sticker paper already, so I can just add them to my planner super simply. In July, I didn't even use this page at all, and I felt like I did a lot more journaling in July, letting it kind of spill around whatever the thing that I had written down was. I do have blank pages. I don't worry about that too much. And I am not the best about journaling day of. I'm working on that a little bit for August, but I will kind of sit down every couple days and journal like 3 or 4 days at a time. Sometimes I will write day of. It just sort of depends. I don't have any rules with my journaling, because I find that once I put rules around something, then I don't want to do it. So I try and keep it pretty free form and just let myself have fun with it. People ask me a lot of time what I write about. A lot of the time I'm writing about planners, because I'm a planner person. This is what we do. We make things more complicated than they need to be. Sometimes it's about how I feel. Sometimes it's about a book that I'm reading. Sometimes I will write about like just venting about a bad day at work, or if I didn't like how an episode of something ended, I will rewrite how I think something should have ended and do a little bit of creative writing as well. For August, I am again really trying to push the functionality a little bit more in this planner. I set this up as a little bit more of a landing page. I'm redoing the to-do list, my schedule. I kept track of some of the packages that I have, and I taped this, which I really liked. I added a couple headers here. These are from Randy.plans from her August Patreon that I just printed out on sticker paper. I've got my gratitude list for the month, and then a few more collections kind of going, and tabs for projects and things like that. And today is the 6th, and I'm already a couple of days ahead on collections. I find that when I'm just kind of using this as my scratch paper, I'm typically ahead of it, of the journaling, if that makes sense. But that's working out really well as well. So still loving how I'm using that. I've added one more tab in the back here, and that is because in the back of this planner you get like 4 or 5 notes pages, and I've taken my year-long habit trackers that I am keeping track of within my ring bound planner, but I recognize that those are kind of 2 pieces of paper that actively filling them out works better for me in my ring planner. I'm way more consistent with that, but that's something I'm going to want to reference next year or have long term. So at the end of the month, I have decided I'm going to kind of transfer that data over. I know it's an extra step for some people, but I don't mind doing that if it helps me stay consistent with it and it gets all the information in one place. So that is something that I have added into the back of this planner, and I did go ahead and tab it because in August I'm trying to use this one a little bit more than I used in June or July, so I'm trying to fill them out kind of a little bit more real time just to see if that is something where maybe I'd prefer to keep track of this within my Hobonichi Cousin rather than in my ring planner. So I'm just playing around with that idea. This is the full year Hobonichi Cousin, and I do have it in a clear cover. I think this is the Midori A5 clear cover. I will link it down below. It's just a touch too small for this, but I have kind of stretched it out over time with a little bit of heat. I just took a hairdryer to it for a few seconds, kind of stretched it, and I'll place some stuff on top of that kind of while it cools down for a few days, and then now it kind of stays pretty well closed. So I haven't had an issue with that, but I will link that down below for you guys as well. So if you have made it this long, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can on that. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.